since Microsoft started constructing its $3.3 billion AI data center in Mount Pleasant in late 2023, Donald Briggs and his neighbors have gotten used to the noise.
So you're not anti-data center?
No, we're not anti-data center.
That is, until earlier this month, when a new sound started invading their homes.
That's just a high-pitched drone sound.
I can hear it inside my house, and that's what concerns me.
This is where, as far as our ears can tell, the sound is coming from. Microsoft's project website says that these data centers here behind me on the southern part of the campus will be operational later this year.
Briggs says he could cope with noisy construction because he knew it was temporary. But as the first center gets close to completion...
So you're concerned that this noise could be more long-term?
Definitely. And louder.
Microsoft right now has plans for more than 15 data centers in Mount Pleasant. In a statement to 12 News, a Microsoft spokesperson says they're aware of the noise concerns raised about their Mount Pleasant facility, and they're investigating the root cause and hope to share an update soon. Microsoft on its website lists 4 main reasons for data center noise: servers, vehicles, backup generators, and cooling equipment. The tone isn't traffic, and Microsoft says server noise is limited to inside the data centers. No matter the source, Briggs says the key to fixing it is communication. He says he's called Microsoft to complain, but hasn't gotten a response.
Actually, I got more success talking to you and Channel 12 than I got from them.
Are you going to be able to stick it out if it's like this?
Well, depends on how bad it gets.
In Mount
So you guys, this is how it goes. So it depends how bad it gets. Let me tell you something that you don't know about data centers that I'm going to share with you. This is not for, truthful information. This is just for entertainment purposes only, YouTube. So don't get your head on a swivel or go get crazy with me. But at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just a conspiracy theorist. I don't know anything that's going on. But ever since these data centers have been popping up everywhere, all these people who believe in climate change, that believe we are, the earth is getting warmer and all this crazy nonsense when it comes to these climate change people, let me tell you something. Where the hell are they? Where are they at? Where are they? You want to save the planet? You want to save the earth? Where are they at? Let me tell you something. One can apply this carbon intensity to estimate power demand of AI systems of 9.4 GW at the end of 2024 and a potential increase to 23 GW through 2025, revealing that AI systems could be responsible for 32.6 to 79.7 million tons of CO2 emissions in 2025. Wow. And we're just continuously building more data centers. But let me tell you something about this video that I'm doing right now. It's going to get deeper than just carbon emissions. Because, CO2 is supposed to help the environment with plants. But it gets a lot deeper than just that, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Diane? What's up, Tony? It gets a lot more deeper than that, ladies and gentlemen. It really does. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Hold on. Stay with me. Having some technical difficulties. Stay with me, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want to miss this.
What is a data center? A data center houses rows of computers and equipment for storing, processing, and transmitting data. They typically have few windows and extra security, including cameras and sometimes biometric screening. The computers need a lot of electricity to operate and to keep the equipment from overheating. That also requires more electricity and huge amounts of water for elaborate air conditioning. The International Energy Agency says one large data center uses the same amount of electricity as it takes to power 400,000 electric cars.
Wow. 400,000 cars. That's how much power EV vehicles, 400,000 EV vehicles, it will take to run one data center. But of course, it's talking about waters too. I got more information on that as well. So, how much water does a data center actually need? And we're just talking about one data center. We're not talking about 1,000 here, ladies and gentlemen. AI consumes significant amounts of water primarily for cooling data centers and generating electricity, which estimates and suggests that by 2025 to 2027, annual AI-related water consumption could reach 312 to 765 billion liters of water. What? Why do you need so much water? And of course you have these data centers like in Texas, Arizona, in California, and places where there's hardly any water. Okay, and this water, it's potentially over 4 billion cubic meters by 2027. A single 20 query AI chat section can consume up to 500 milliliters a bottle of water. So, guys, people are stuck with AI data centers because we cannot do anything about this. We cannot. But you don't see these people, these green earthers, these people that love Mother Earth, going and putting up their pitchforks and torches and their poster signs and protesting these things in front of data centers, stopping vehicles from going in and out. No, but they did that with so many farmers trying to produce fruits and vegetables for us. And this is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. It's just crazy. No, but it just gets worse than that. It gets a lot more worse than that. Let me continue rolling this footage, ladies and gentlemen.
Tech companies are increasingly using their data centers to train and operate artificial intelligence systems. Training an AI model to learn from huge amounts of data requires additional computing power. Conventional data center services run on processors known as CPUs. AI relies on graphics processing units, or GPUs. The IEA estimates that asking OpenAI's ChatGPT to compose an answer requires nearly 10 times as much electricity as a traditional Google search. Amazon, Microsoft, and Google have all announced plans to tap into nuclear energy to help power their U.S. data centers. They've also helped finance new wind and solar farms and other alternative energy sources. In the near term, however, most data centers are still heavily reliant on the surrounding electricity grid, which is largely powered by burning fossil fuels, the primary cause of global warming. This is making it harder for some countries and tech companies to keep their promises to address climate change.
This is crazy. Like I just mentioned, the climate changers, the people who are so-called love the Mother Earth, where are they at? They're not protesting these things. And if they are protesting these things, they're so mild, so little, because the people who are actually protesting these things, they're just regular folks. They're not bought by George Soros. They're not bought by these multi-billionaire people who actually cause the chaos and havoc. These people are actually going through these crazy times right now. But the crazy part about that is that large AI data centers can consume 1 to 5 million gallons of water per day, equivalent to a town of 10,000 to 50,000 residents. That's just a large data center. One large data center can consume that much water. But here's the crazy part about that. Data center water consumption is rising, with one study stating AI could exceed the total global consumption of water. What the? And we're just going to let this happen, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing we can do to stop it. Yes, I can be putting up these videos to inform you about these things. But then again, people won't care about it. They don't care. They rather go on their phones and be like, Grok, tell me this. ChatGPT, what is this? And then of course the youth are using these freaking chat bots to talk to them about certain things like offing themselves or transitioning to being a male and a female. These data centers have completely been ruining people's lives. And I have explained in my previous video that AI is just an electric Ouija board to talk to manifesting and familiar spirits and demons. That's all it is. But they need to consume all these freaking resources from us living creatures with flesh, with a soul, in order for them to continuously do all these crazy and heinous things. But let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you something. The more it gets better, the more AI gets more advanced, the more these spirits, familiar spirits, these demons, these demonic presence will continue to suck all the data from us and will continue to know who we are. But it doesn't stop there from there. I got another video to show you about these things. And the AI flock cameras. Yeah, Diane, there's a bunch of flock cameras everywhere, man. And you know in Britain, these flock cameras, you know what they do? There's these people with actual saws. A group of people going out there like, you know, like John Wick, you know, when they come over here and then be like, you're excommunicado. And then they freaking right there, they take them out. They're literally going in 4 or 5 pack groups and going, just cutting them off and just going their separate ways like nothing happened. But here in the United States, we are so dumbed down. We don't want to break the law because we want to be law-abiding citizens, correct? Because these people who are already felons, these people who already are just shooting each other over some freaking BS drama that doesn't even matter, don't want to go and cut these flock cameras down. Why is that? Why is that? No, but they're so easy to shoot their ops real quick when it comes to freaking drama. The crazy part about the life that we're living in right now that people don't comprehend is that it's the government against the people. That's it. It's satanic agents against the people. It's evil versus good. That's it. You can be rich and be very wealthy, but also be following Jesus Christ. You can be super wealthy and rich and still be following demons. Because you have to choose a side regardless of how you get your wealth. Do you get your wealth from scamming and robbing people? Or do you get your wealth from a working hard individual who knows that you're getting your money honestly and working hard for it? There's a big complex that's taking place right now, ladies and gentlemen. Every state, yes, Diane, every state has at least one data center. Here in Arkansas, I think there's like 5 data centers here. In Texas, our next door neighbor has like around 400 data centers. You gotta be kidding me. China's competing with, oh yes, Diana, yes. I'll show you a map right now in a little bit comparing the data centers with China and the United States. But in China, they have a social credit system where you can be locked out of society if you have a very low social credit score. But the people who are going to spread the truth and be followers of Jesus Christ, well, your credit score is going to be 0 to probably negative or not even non-existent. 4,200 data centers here in the U.S. Not Addison, that microphone. Yes, Tony, yes. Yes, there are so many data centers. People are definitely dumbed down. That virus days provide. Yeah, of course, Diana. People don't want to hear this video. They don't want to click on it because their attention span is too minuscule to understand what I'm saying. But I'm going to go with the next video.
What happens when you upload a baby picture to Facebook anyway? Well, it goes from your computer through a bunch of wires out of your city and travels at nearly the speed of light until it gets here. This is Facebook's first data center, located in Prineville, Oregon. To call it massive is an understatement. It's got buildings big enough to fit 4 football fields in. And all of it so that you can view that Throwback Thursday photo whenever you want. So Facebook has 6 data centers around the world, all but 2 of which are in the United States. This one was the first, and it's quite a sight. Many of the technologies inside were invented by Facebook. One example is air cooling. Oregon's nice and cool, and Facebook realized that it can take air from the outside, mix it with water and computer exhaust, and find a way to cool its computers without needing to use.
Hear that? They have to mix it with water to cool it down. And of course, this was one of the first data centers for Facebook in Oregon. I used to live in Oregon. It's a beautiful place. It just turned to a crap show because of the politics and all this LGBTQ bullcrap. I used to live in the heart of Portland. It was garbage. It was complete garbage. But besides all that, ladies and gentlemen, these data centers are going to continuously grow and grow and grow. And look at that. Look at that. Like, what's that cooling system for? Like, look at. And the thing about these data centers is they're not going to stop growing. The only way these data centers can stop growing is if we get off our phones, get off social media, get off Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, all these social media platforms that we have, including YouTube. See, this is why I believe that we're never going to be EMP'd, ever. You know, I was talking to my brother Richie about it the other day. And he told me, oh yeah, this is probably the reason why we're never going to get EMP'd. And I completely agree with him because they're continuously popping up more data centers. And everyone's scared that we have a weak grid. No, we don't. If the powers that shouldn't be wanted to take down our grid, they would have done it already. You know, some people will say that these data centers are for underground cities or they're giant concentration camps. But there's a spiritual aspect to these data centers that people cannot comprehend. But let me continue moving on with the video.
Energy-sucking air conditioners. Why cold air? Well, computers can't run too hot or they just don't work right. They also can't run too cool or they have the same problem. Behind all those blinking lights, that's Facebook. So is this, and this, and this. How much of Facebook is stored here? Well, all of it. If Facebook's other 5 data centers were suddenly to stop working, you could still rewatch your old Ice Bucket Challenge video, and, Facebook hopes, you won't even be able to tell anything was wrong. By the way, there are exactly 10 people on staff who fix computers all day long. Facebook is experimenting with testing its app on a bunch of different phones, even old ones dating back as far as 2011. The last little nugget? A computer that can learn to paint. This is a computer program analyzing thousands of paintings and then using that information to paint one of its own.
So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, these data centers aren't just for entertainment purposes. They're also just keeping data of all of your pictures, all of your posts that you're continuously posting. I previously had an actual Facebook page with my real name on it and everything. If you don't know my name is Ivan. I'm Ivan. Yes, just like Russia, Ivan. Okay? I'm a real dude. But besides all that, I deleted my Facebook account because I knew that they can use it against you. They can use it against anybody who's out there. How do I know this? Because when I was in high school, I said a very rude comment on Facebook. It was around 12 in the morning. 20 minutes later, the cops show up at my door, knocking, saying, "Did you write this post on Facebook?" And, you know, my mom was tripping. She's like, "Why are the cops here?" And I'm just like, well, I kind of said something stupid on Facebook, and now they're here. And ever since that moment, I realized that these freaking apps can be used against you on whatever you said. So always be careful what you say on the internet. because these things are used for surveillance. They're used for spyware on you. But the things about these data centers is that they're not decreasing, they are increasing. This world is a clown show. It's a giant clown show, and people will continuously be on their phones regardless of the situation, because we have lost track of ourselves. We cannot have civil conversations out in the grocery store no more, or even talk to somebody there, because guess what? Huh? That's all you see. You just see people on their phones. And if you do see people talking face to face, it's usually very wealthy, not ghetto people. People who are civilized, quotation marks, civilized, talking about normal everyday things. I'm telling you, we are going to need digital ID to get on the internet. Yes, Diana, yes. When that happens, Diana, I'm not going to be online making videos anymore. I'm not. We definitely are living in boring times. Yep. What if they shield the data centers really heavily fortified against EMP? No, Tony, they're not going to do that. They need these data centers. The flock cameras? Oh, why do you think they need the flock cameras for? They're not going to EMP their own surveillance grid so they can't see what we're doing. This is all a giant agenda, and you have to understand the comprehension that is taking place. This is 4D chess, what they say, what the powers that shouldn't be are doing. They're not going to take down their own surveillance grids, so they will have a disadvantage to not see what we're doing. That's not going to the way it works. But these data centers is a key thing to what they're building for the mark of the beast. That's why I say these data centers are spiritually connected with the real world. And these flock cameras, social media, to keep people distracted from the flock cameras. That's why social media is around. Those memes, these crazy freaking videos to distract you. It's just sad. I'm going to continue going with the video.
Oh, they look like moments in time. Oh, my theory about advancing technologies is both our savior and our doom?
No, think about water.
Oh, water has memory. The water that makes up you and me has passed through at least 4 humans and or animals before us. And remembers everything.
Wow. Ain't that crazy? Oh, but it's a movie, American Mexican Gunslinger. Why are you gonna listen to a Frozen movie? It's based on witchcraft and sorcery. But is that little snowman correct? Because what he just mentioned about technology is pretty surprising. I'm gonna play it for you again. Open your ears.
Oh, my theory about advancing technologies is both our savior and our doom?
No, think about water.
Oh, water has memory. The water that makes up you and me has passed through at least 4 humans and or animals before us. And remembers everything.
Remembers everything. That water has memory. I know some YouTubers have explaining that water has memory, and these data centers are sucking billions of water in their data centers. But this is coming from a Disney movie, which probably a lot of people didn't see for what it was, because of course, my brother Richie's not going to be watching Disney movies. Of course, us conspiracy theories are not going to be watching Disney movies unless you have a child or a kid. But of course, we're not going to be exposing our kids to these Disney movies. But when I saw this clip, it made me think, wow, that is a lot of truth in a kid's movie. And of course, the parents who watch these movies are going to be like, oh, what the? That's not real, but oh, is it? Is it real? Let me show you this something. Maybe Iran can take out our debt. No, Diane, don't even rely on Iran. They're all in it, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, don't get your head out of a swivel because Iran is a Muslim country. They ain't really a Christian nation, you know. And of course, Babylon, the United States of America, is also not a very Christian nation. That's why we are in deep pit as we are right now. I'm sure there are thousands of data centers underground, probably. They have been there for a long time. Yes, but you have to understand that AI doesn't mean artificial intelligence. It stands for ancient intelligence. This has been here for already years. This is nothing's new under the sun, ladies and gentlemen. This technology has been here for hundreds of years. They just barely showing us this. AI actually started in 1950, so no wonder why there is where it is at already. Yes, Dan, yeah. Okay, now I can say your name instead of using AMG. I was going to every... I don't really use my real name because for private concerns, privacy concerns, but yeah, that's my name, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not just some fake dude named AMG. You know, they're arresting people for post only. Yes, Diane, that's the point. That is the point. I agree. I will give up my cell phone and home internet. You know, at one point, Diane, we're going to have to. For the meantime, right now, I'm using this to show you guys information as much as I possibly can until they be like, hey, bro, you gonna get that? You're gonna get that mark? You're gonna get that mark in there? No. All right, then. Well, you can't post anything no more. All right. What I mean is the building of data centers would build a Faraday cage in the walls and shield an AMP. But yeah, I mean, if the AMP, it would knock everything else. Exactly, Tony. But I'm telling you, that's not part of their agenda. They want to have eyes on you and be listening to you. So if they knock down the EMP, guess what? Their number one surveillance is out of the park, and they need these things for data farming. Just like this live stream is being data farmed right now as we speak. Because I'm going to put it up on YouTube, on their cloud, in their servers, in their data centers. That is the crazy thing. With so many millions of videos on YouTube, they have to store them somewhere. Right? They have to store them somewhere. And of course with the apps too, they have to store all that data. Those pictures, the posts you do on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. They have to store it somewhere, including you take on your phone, on the cloud. They have to store your family pictures, your family gatherings somewhere, right? It's all based on data. But what that movie Frozen talked about living water, the water has memory. It's not too far-fetched. And let me show you guys. This is proof.
To what extent is water capable of picking up information? What does it perceive? And how does it remember it over time?
The Aerospace Institute in Stuttgart has discovered a relatively simple way of making the structure of a drop of water visible. The researchers have had their efforts rewarded by insights into a very beautiful world. Each drop has a face of its own, unmistakable and unique. Why are the individual drops so different from one another? We got a lot of people to come to a lecture hall here at the Institute, gave them all the same water, had them make drops at exactly the same time, collected all the drops, and then discovered that each individual produced different images from the same water. And here you can see the results. Here on the right you can see that the images of the individual students are different, but those made by a given student are all quite similar. This is the work of the first experimenter, this one here from the second, this from the third, and this from the fourth. Individually, they can quite easily be reproduced, but you would never have thought that they were all from the same water, because when you compare the images from the different people, you see some big differences. Then we
That is insane. That is insane, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you something else. What is the number one source for life? Drum roll, please. Water. We need water. Plants need water. We need water. Living things need water. Even the cactus in Arizona need water. Fish need water. Things to live, like mosquitoes laying their eggs from the Bill Gates Foundation, need water. All these things need water. So why do data centers need water when they're not a living thing? Or are they? Oh. Let me continue moving forward with the video.
Undertook experiments to find out whether things changed when we put something into the water. A real flower was placed in the water. A while later, we took a drop of water, and here you can see one of the pictures. And you can see it in this picture. It's the typical image you get when you put a flower into water. You could recognize the flower in every single drop in this glass, of course. That can be reproduced and has significance. And if you were to put a different flower in here, for example, a Sweet William flower, then all the drops of this water would look like Sweet William. The statement that water has a memory practically changes our whole way of looking at the world, of course. Let's travel down the Rhine in the figurative sense. The water is flowing down the Rhine, picking up information everywhere it goes. So the water has more information at the mouth of the Rhine than it had at the source. And the Dutch, living at the mouth, when they drink that water, they're also drinking all that information. Thus, the world's oceans would no longer be something that separates us, but instead a giant storehouse of information, and the rain would perhaps be a data medium carrying information to the world.
And so you see, these data centers aren't just taking regular water and cooling their data centers. They're taking the memories of this water and getting more information out of this water with these systems. Because you cannot just completely go and believe what the government says, what they're actually doing with that water. Because it does not take so much water to continuously keep these data centers cool. But here's the crazy part about data centers. Are they contaminating the water? Primarily, though, through the discharge of wastewater from cooling systems containing chemicals like biocides, corrosion inhibitors, and accumulating minerals, these facilities often use vast amounts of potable water for evaporate cooling, and the resulting blow down water, if not treated properly, can carry pollutants into local water systems and or groundwater, impacting water quality. So they're not just using this water to cool their data systems down. They're contaminating it and destroying it, because these waters are from the days of Noah. They're from the first creation that God has created during Genesis. If you don't believe me, let me get some Bible verses up there and back it up. This is the beginning of the Bible, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to keep this short. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, because if you want to read the whole chapter, you can do it yourself. Genesis 1 through 7. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. So water has a very big explanation for the creation of God. It was one of the first molecules, one of the first things that were here on earth that God created. So contaminating the water and destroying it and polluting it and using that water, because these data centers aren't just farming our data from our phones, they are also farming the data that's within the water itself. It sounds far-fetched. It sounds like a conspiracy theorist. But this scientist just mentioned what the waters change when a different flower goes inside the water. So it's not far-fetched at all, ladies and gentlemen. It's just insanity what these data centers are doing to our home, our very home where we live. Oh yeah, I know. Some of the lists were, yep. The only list that I care about is the Lamb's, the Book of Life. Exactly, Diane. Exactly. Yes, the water has living memory. I was looking into that about 6 years ago. Very interesting stuff. I think I saw that video before. Yeah, Tony. Yeah. Isn't Musk talking about AI having a body? Yup. Yup, Diane. Cooling from the high temperatures and produces, so they say. Yup. That's what they say. That's what they're saying. The volume sounds weird on the video you're playing, bro. It's very low and muffled. Yeah, sorry, Tony. It's just what it is. That's true because they could recycle all the water, but they're not, since nice object. Exactly, Tony. Exactly. Speeding up the poisoning of all. Exactly. We can't even live past 5 days. Exactly, Diane. Exactly. When I was researching the water memory thing, I also found where they were trying to create water themselves with hydrogen and oxygen, and they couldn't do it. Exactly. Exactly. But here, I got some scriptures for you. A few Bible verses. I'm not going to read the whole chapters because it'll get too long. But that was Genesis 1. Genesis 1 explains it very well what the water is. But there's more to that. John chapter 4. John chapter 4, it says something very interesting. If you don't know John chapter 4, let me read it to you. Let me show you. There cometh a woman, a child in chapter 4, verse 7 through 14. It says, there cometh a woman to Samaria to draw water. Jesus saith unto her, give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Jesus answered and said unto her, if thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. The woman saith unto her, sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Jesus answered and said unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. So what are they doing to the water? Yep, they can't separate the hydrogen and oxygen in the water, but they could never recombine it and recreate the water again. Interesting, isn't it? Yep, Tony, yep. But that's the crazy part, that even in the Bible it talks about water, and Jesus was talking about water. It's a very symbolic thing that these data centers are taking all the water to cool down their data systems. But are these data centers really necessary? Are they that important? Because if it wasn't that important, they wouldn't need them. See, but it continues with their agenda, data farming. They're not just gathering data from you and me. They're also gathering data from the water itself. And that is the thing. All the water that we have access to is all dead water. Exactly, Tony. Why do you think they fluorinate the water? Why do you think they add, all these other chemicals like chlorine to the water to supposedly clean it? They even add, folks that are passed away in the water in Washington. And why do these big old giant freaking power plants, how come they go and throw all this dirty water back into the clean rivers? It's all toxic and waste. Our waters are getting so dang polluted that our coral reefs on Earth are being destroyed slowly but surely. The heavy metals from the stuff they're spraying in the skies, that is continuously falling onto our water. We also have a sewage water system, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think that's doing to our water? We can't even go and get regular natural spring water from the natural springs. When I was in Oregon, I used to get natural spring water, and they shut it all down, so we couldn't get no more living spring water. And it was completely free, so now we have to go buy the freaking water. And you think the water inside our water bottles are even safe? I can guarantee you that it's just tap water that's been filtered. That's it. Kind of reminds me of Skynet and the Terminator. Oh, it's a lot worse than that, Tony, man. It's a lot worse than that. The reason why I say that is because this is reality. This ain't no dang movie. This is real. This is real. Gotta wake up. Wake up. This is real. It's not a dream. Let me show you right now the data center map. Man, look at that. Look at that. My. What do we have here, ladies and gentlemen? Look at all that water being contaminated, being destroyed. And look at all the resources are sucking up from you. Woo! Man, that's good. Don't that water taste good? Because it seems like the USA and over there in the UK, they're chugging water. China be chugging that water too. Woo! But there's a ton more in the UK. Let me go closer to that map right there. What country is that? That's Germany, the United Kingdom, France. What's that little one right there? Let me go closer to Germany right there. Belgium? The Netherlands? Orale. Look at that. It's not just our country, folks. Amsterdam, it's not just our country. Look at England. Ireland too. Wow, look at that. Oh man, it's not just our own country. It's other countries around the world. Look at all the data centers right there. Ooh-wee. California, we got some there. Las Vegas has some. There's no water there. Look at all the ones over there in Phoenix. I used to live there. There's no water in Phoenix. You can't even walk. You can't even keep a freaking fresh patch of grass in your front yard. They'll keep you rocks and dirt. Even Ciudad Juarez by Texas, El Paso, Texas over there. Wow, look at Texas. Woo-wee. You got some data centers all over there, man. Oh man, Louisiana, you got some data centers too. Look at my home state, Arkansas. Now look at that. We got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. By Little Rock, we got like 3 in Little Rock. There's not that many in Arkansas, but it's still a freaking data center. Look at that. Kansas City, look at that. Look at all those data centers there. Look at over there in Chicago. Ooh, man. Look at all those data centers over there. Look, all those data centers are for your memes, for your videos that you're posting, you know, about your dog, just like I do. You know, we're just feeding the system. We're feeding this beast system, ladies and gentlemen. This is all it is. We are feeding it. If everyone in the whole entire world will get off social media, these data centers will have nothing to feed off of. But guess what? They'll probably still be popping up everywhere, and they'll still be taking all your resources from the water. Even in Mexico, there's data centers now. You go down south, there's data centers. Like, what is going on? This is crazy. And you know what's the crazier part? There's no data centers in Antarctica. Let me check Antarctica real quick. You know, there's no data centers in Antarctica. Oh, maybe that peace treaty worked out good and all the countries are like, you know what, screw it. Let's depopulate, bro. Greenland? Why does Trump want Greenland so bad? There's only like 2 data centers there. 2 little data centers right there out of the whole country of Greenland. Oh, we need Greenland for for security purposes only, for national security purposes. Wow. Wow, look at all those data centers in Virginia, North Carolina, New York, Georgia, Florida. They're everywhere. The Bermuda? There's a freaking data center in the middle of Bermuda? There's 2 of them right there. Whatcha? That is crazy. This is insane, ladies and gentlemen. This is insane. There's even some in Africa. Madagascar, Australia, New Zealand. They're everywhere. You should check Israel. Go check Israel. Where's Israel? Israel right there. That little thing right there by Jordan. Right there. That's Israel right there. That little itty-bitty country that's taking all our resources has data centers too, but not that many. But for a little country like that, that's probably a ton. A ton of them. But of course, they control the media, and they control the all these apps that we're on, and they use all these phones as spyware. So of course they're not going to have that many, and of course we're all going to have them all in our country here in the United States, because we like to give all our money to Israel because they are our friendly ally that love Christians so well, and they give us the red carpet when we get there, ladies and gentlemen. Especially if you're a Christian, they'll give you the biggest red carpet ever. Look at Hong Kong, all these places, man. In China have all these data centers too. Of course, Taiwan has the most data centers too. All these countries have data centers, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm gonna get off this map real quick. I think you got the hang of it. Was that Japan? Japan? Oh, look at Japan has a bunch of data centers. Of course, they'd be building them robots, But there you go, guys. That was a wrap. I know you guys were putting on the comments. Water will be more valuable than gas. Good. Yep. Good morning from the Philippines. Damn. Yeah, that's true, man. That's true, Sunray. I've seen the amount of trees dying mainly from the amount of aluminum being sprayed, plus everything else that is aluminum in. Yep, Tony is also all the EMF from the tower. Exactly, Sunray, exactly. I know it's real, believe me. I've had quite a reality gut punch about most of these things happen already. Yep, Tony. Yep. There are over 111,000 data centers worldwide, with the highest concentration in the US, nearly 4,000, followed by Europe, and a fast-growing presence in Asia. Yes, Diane, yes. USA has the most by the long shot. Yep. Key hubs include Northern Virginia, London, Frankfurt, and Tokyo, largely driven by colocation, cloud services. Yep. But that's the thing, though. How come the U.S. has the most? Do you know why the U.S. has the most? Because we have the most dumbasses here in this country. I'm just being real. I'm just being absolutely real. Out of this whole country, if Jesus were to return, probably 1 out of 100 people would probably be close to Jesus. Maybe even less than that, like 0.3%. But that was a wrap for today, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know down in the comments what you about this video. It was a crazy video that I had to come up with because these data centers are everywhere, and there's really nothing we can do about it. There's really nothing we can do about it, and a lot of people are going to not do anything about it. All we can do is inform you. I got disconnected for a second there. Of course, the powers that shouldn't be. YouTube doesn't want me to talk about these things, but these are things that we should be aware about. And of course, I'm not gonna give you no way of being like, okay, we can't do anything. What do? We pray up. We stay prayed up. We stay close to Jesus Christ, because we're the ones that are seeing these things happening everywhere around the world. We're the ones that are understanding what is taking place right now. But the people that are blind, they're like, what are you talking about? I don't know. This guy's a conspiracy theorist. I don't know what he's saying. That's what these people are doing. But they don't realize that this is the number one weapon that they're using against all of us. Because if they use an EMP and all the weapons that they have in place goes down, it's not going to be good for them either. Because it would be great. I honestly, I would love an EMP to happen. I want to go back to the Stone Age. I don't want to worry about this stuff. I don't worry about YouTube. I know we talk to each other on here, but wouldn't that be great? No technology. People have to go back to the 50s and be talking and communicating to one another, but they don't want us to do that. Why do you think COVID happened? to discommunicate us from having a bondage to one another in society. Because if they divide us among each other, we'll lose, we'll fall. And that was their purpose. That was their whole plan. Why do you think social media took place? So we can talk crap on other people online and be divided amongst ourselves even more. Instead of informing ourselves and creating actual, soldiers to understand what is taking place. Just be aware of that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm American Mexican Gunslinger. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Do what you please. But this video, I literally suggest that you guys share it as much as you possibly can. If not, don't. It's your call. But we're going to leave it off with the prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is thy kingdom, thy power, and thy glory forever. In Jesus' name I pray. Thank you and amen. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sabbath.